Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby. You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room,
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. You don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, I'm the American Anchor Baby, and this is my show. Thank you so much for tuning in on this what a fine Wednesday. What a fine Wednesday it is, and it's a pleasure, an absolute pleasure, to be back with you today on the American Anchor Baby show. So, we're in the chair, in the studio, been rocking the studio heavy, and I've been loving it. And I'm here with you today with a special friend. You know I love having him on. We got 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎, the Big Bill. He's just a Bill on Capitol Hill. How you doing, sir? It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. How was your Thanksgiving and all that the people want to know? You probably did my favorite thing, didn't you? Nothing.
Yeah, basically.
My absolute favorite thing in the world. So I would just allow me to welcome everybody. Tell them where to call. If you want to call in, it's 888-775-3773. And we're live on YouTube. We're live on dlive.tv/Gorgonzola. And we're live on rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. And don't forget punchy.tv, rocking and rolling hardcore on punchy.tv. Keep that one in your back pocket. It's live right now. And what can I say? It's a pleasure to have you all here. Today, we're going to be getting into a little bit of the news about South Korea, martial law, thoughts and parallels on what could be, and some are already coming up with ideas. Oh, Trump, we better start getting worried about martial law over here. Bunch of people who are liars. But we're going to get into that, some interesting things about Korea that you might find interesting here with the Anchor Baby and Bill and beyond. Many things to get into here. Packed show. And, of course, your calls, 888-775-3773. A little bit of the news and a little bit of other stuff, okay? Nit needs a sombrero. Maybe. I didn't bring one from Mexico, and that's one of my deeper regrets. They got some amazing hats. You see them coming back when you're coming back from Mexico. You see all the people in the planes that have 3, 4, 5, 6 hats, 6 sombreros stacked. It's true. And I'm like, why? Well, it's to save space. You don't have to hold them all. They're on your person. It's a carry-on. Hey, and they're expensive here in America, but cheaper over there. But they're nice. So anyways, we're just letting everybody roll in here to the show. And like I said, a little bit of the news with South Korea. We're going to get the people educated here. Get Bill educated here. What do you know about? You heard anything about this, Bill? About this business with Korea? Boom. Let me see here. How do we do? There we go. You like the snazzy tech? Bill set it up.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you hear anything about this at all?
I mean, I heard
martial law.
Martial law. I heard that yesterday, something like that. But I really haven't.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't looked into it.
Well, I'm sure you're familiar with Korea, right? The Korean Peninsula. I'm sure.
Yeah, so.
We do that and we do this. And now we're suddenly flying above Korea. South Korea. Well, this is the Korean Peninsula, right?
Right.
This whole thing, you got North Korea, South Korea, deep history, their geography and all that. They've been here for a while. They
Yeah, quite a while.
Quite a while. A language that has withstood time. It's a language that has withstood the Chinese Han dynasty breaking up the tribes for a while. They've been there for a while. Their founding myth is like furry stuff. Sorry, Koreans. I don't mean to slander y'all. I'm just making jokes. You know what a furry is, right, Bill?
Yeah.
웅예요. You ever heard of 웅예요?
No.
The bear woman. It's a woman in Korean, the founding myth of Korea. You might find this interesting. This is 웅예요, the bear that became a woman. See, a god came down from the mountains, basically. And this bear and this tiger, they were like, how do we become like you or something like that? And so he told the bear and the tiger to eat only mugwort, which is this green stuff, and garlic, and to stay in a cave for 100 days. And it was too hard for the tiger, but the bear could withstand. The gods turned the bear into a woman, and the woman bore the child that would become the emperor of the early Korea. 웅예요. Look, the way they have 웅예요 here in these animes, they have her like a muscle girl. Because I guess she came from a bear, right? Well, hold on. A muscle girl.
Oh man.
Because I guess she came from a bear. Is this where their rampant feminism might come from? I think they're getting something wrong.
I don't know.
More on that.
That's interesting. I've never heard of that one.
Yeah. So whatever. What was I telling you about? A little bit of Korea, because we're about to get into martial law. You might find some of this interesting, the little bit of history to maybe understand what might be going on there. They were occupied from the Japanese occupied them for a while. Their language survived that. Yeah. And then, of course, this is what everybody knows: North and South, the big divide. World War II, the Soviet Union spreading communism this way. The U.S. spreading capitalism this way. They're having a big old war about it too. And the proxy wars, it was a proxy between the two sides. But those divisions remained. And you got North, South Korea. Yeah. It's they say till this day, right? They don't really have a peace between them. They have an armistice. So they're technically still at war. Someone might be able to correct me on that.
No, you're right.
Yeah, there you go. See, they have this demilitarized zone. So anyways, let's speed on up to Yoon Suk Yeol, which I'm not saying anything offensive. That's the name of the president of Korea. Yoon Suk Yeol. And I could be pronouncing that wrong. Yoon. He's the big news basically is, a little bit about Yoon. He's basically like the conservative. He ran on a platform of economic deregulation, abolishing the Ministry of Gender Equality and Family. So they have one of those in Korea. Gender Equality and Family. Doesn't sound good. I know it's supposed to be good. I know I got double me.
How'd you do that?
I don't know how I did that. Oh, I have two keys on.
Oh.
Boom. Yeah, so they got one of those, a Ministry of Gender Equality. That doesn't sound good. I guess most would see that as good, but I already know a little bit too much. So he defeated the Democratic Party nominee, Lee Jae-myung. That's not a female, that's a male. Lee Jae-myung. Democrats, so they defeated him. What he's running on is not unlike some of the conservative pushes that are kind of popping up around the world. You can start with America. We don't want the woke. We don't want the gender equality. So I don't know too much, but it may be some similarities there with Yoon. Anyways, he's apparently had all sorts of opposition from the opposition party, unable to kind of enact his agenda. Reminds me a little bit about Trump. I stopped myself from calling him the Korean Trump, but...
Well, his first term, I guess you could say maybe the same thing's going on there.
Oh, you know a little bit about...
I mean, I'm talking about Trump's first term.
Exactly.
Yeah, Trump's first term.
Bingo.
Maybe. But he may have overreacted here.
The Yoon here, huh?
Yeah.
So let's get to exactly the martial law, what happened. So he basically ordered martial law without warning in a speech late Tuesday, where he vowed to eliminate anti-state forces. He said were plotting rebellion and accused the main opposition parties of supporting the country's rival, North Korea. So internal strife, internal conflict. I mean, not unlike the things we heard from Trump's first term. Imagine if he went martial law. Like, and you could even argue, some might even say that I'm trying to remember even if there were calls for that, because there were full-on generals going against Trump, if you remember. He told them, get out of this, I think Afghanistan or something. And they went against him. They were like, no, even though he's their boss. As the president, he's the leader of the military.
Yeah. So
he gave no direct evidence, according to the AP, when he raised the specter of North Korea as a destabilizing force. Yoon has long maintained that a hard line against the North is the only way to stop Pyongyang from following through on its nuclear threats against Seoul. They've had a long fight for a long time. So that's a little bit about Yoon and the declaration. I want to play this for y'all. Give you a little bit more, because this is all kind of happened yesterday. Only this Friday will they have a vote and all that. More on that in a moment. But if you would like to see more, check this clip out.
Chaos is unfolding in South Korea, where almost 30,000 U.S. troops are stationed. Protests erupted there after the democratically elected president declared martial law, taking control of the media and putting a stop to all political activities. President Yoon has since backed down as lawmakers are calling on him to resign. ABC's Zorin Shah has the story.
Tonight, tensions escalating inside South Korea, a key U.S. ally, after their democratically elected president, Yoon Suk-yeol, declared martial law to try and put a stop to political adversaries trying to allegedly overthrow his government. Watch as hours earlier, protesters stormed the streets. One woman grabs an officer's gun. Military choppers circling Seoul's parliament building. The protesters did not listen to his calls to stop. Opposition leaders rushed parliament using furniture to barricade themselves inside. South Korea's National Assembly declared martial law invalid and voted demanding Yoon lift it. Yoon then reversed his decision. It was only in place for 6 hours. The U.S. surprised by the moves, calling it a, quote, grave concern.
Our hope is, and every hope and expectation is, that any political disputes will be resolved peacefully and in accordance with the rule of law.
America has almost 30,000 troops in South Korea positioned to deter their North Korean neighbor. The U.S. expressing relief that South Korea's president reversed the martial law. But now all eyes on South Korea's political parties as they say they will call for impeachment proceedings if Yoon does not resign. Zorin Shah, ABC News, Los Angeles.
So, I guess soft power continues today. The West versus their enemies beyond. I guess here it's Russia for real. That's not even a conjecture. They kind of are in a hot war. So it's like soft power continues today. What the West wants in South Korea, what the enemies want in North Korea. You know what I mean?
I think this may be just the left. Okay, like we have the left here. I think the left is kind of the same around the world, and they're kind of just lawless, period. And so, he may have had just an overreaction to, this president may have had an overreaction to the kind of plotting and craziness going on and lying and stuff that's always going on with that party.
True say, yeah.
And the parliament is like, the Korean parliament, they've gotten into like fights and fist fights and all kind of stuff like that.
Fist fights?
Yeah. I mean, they used to do it, I don't know, every few years or something like that. You'd see some fist fight going on in their parliament.
I mean, I'm just searching parliament fight. I'm getting a bunch already.
Yeah.
Scuffles broke out between lawmakers, South Korea. So are you saying there is, you kind of believe maybe some of his claims? There might be some validity to the plotting and stuff that he's saying that he had to.
I mean, if you were looking at even us here right now, you're looking at us the last 5 years, Biden letting in a bunch of a bunch of leaving the borders open, so he can get more borders, stuff like that. That's what do you call that kind of stuff? Lawless, just lawless stuff
of the worst kind.
Yeah, the worst kind.
Treason.
Exactly. Yeah, really.
Which I think they're
going hyping it. Here they're hyping it up right now. Oh, Trump's gonna go get us. He's gonna go get the military on us and sick us. And they're acting like basically he's gonna do the kind of things they probably want to do. That's basically what they want to do.
That's such a good point.
That's what they want to do.
That's their
basically
style.
Telling when we've been looking at Trump, when he was in power, okay, and he was basically always stayed within the law.
That's true.
Period. He didn't overstep his bounds.
And he's always been law and order like that.
Right.
And his supporters want him to be more maybe like Yoon here. Some of them.
Some of them.
Yeah. I tend to agree I tend to think his claims probably hold more weight than I tend to agree as well. Like he's probably making some.
I bet he's dealing with something, probably. I'm pretty sure.
Right.
But I don't know.
Overreactions, yeah, maybe. I mean, look at how the people, feisty people, maybe. Because look, I'm looking at what you just told me. I'm looking at, what is this? A fight? Scuffles broke out between lawmakers in South Korea. This is from 8 years ago. What is this? These are the hollowed halls of their government. Hey.
지역구 보내주라 지역구에.
Yo, what are they fighting about? That's awesome. Hey, yo, he put his hand in it. Oh, calm down. Hey, get out my board.
Getting pretty heated there.
Yes, you always grab, he's trying to rip his ear off. Is that a woman? I think that's a woman.
That's a woman.
Whoa, she's getting in there. And then a shot of the emblem in these hollow halls. Someone get their mans. That's a feisty bunch, maybe. I know I know that I'm a racist because I know they're Koreans. I could tell in their look, in their face, in their features. I know that they are Korean, not Chinese, not I know I'm a racist. Which means I'm using that differently than you do. Oh, look at her. She's in there. Calm down, everybody. A feisty bunch. You saw the woman in that one video against the what looked like soldiers during this martial law thing. She's grabbing their gun. You saw that in the earlier clip? She's like grabbing their gun, like, no, you're gonna stop this martial law right now. I'm a citizen, and that's not very democracy. Feisty.
I don't know.
The 4B movement started over there. What were you saying?
4B? Oh. 4B.
You heard about this, right?
Yeah. So, well, the other part of that is like, I hear the men are becoming more conservative and the women are becoming more liberal over there.
This divide.
Yeah. So I think we're kind of divided here. This is happening here, but it's like even more divided over there. So the women are more liberal and the men are more conservative.
They might be farther down.
And probably part of that, as a consequence of that, is probably why their birth rate is like the lowest birth rate on the country.
Holy.
I mean, in the world. Excuse me.
I think I remember that. I kind of remember that. Yeah, that totally. I remember that. They may be farther down along some feminist path or something, because I remember there was like these like these ad campaigns where they had these posters where it was like women like making fun of the Korean men's manhood, if I may be. It was them going like this in posters, and it was like an ad campaign of a big company, and it was like a big public reaction. It feels like they've had this like.
I think the men are more. I think the men are more in charge in Korea. You know, it's less. I think it's less gender neutral. I think our gender neutral stuff. I think it's less of that in Korea.
Okay. I may have wrong impressions.
But I'm not saying that. I mean, and that's in terms of who's in charge, you know. But the men and women, you know, their politics and all that are like more and more going the opposite direction.
Just like here.
Yeah.
There's a huge divide.
But it's even more. It's just more extreme.
Wow. I mean, that's the direction. That's the direction we're going to. The Gen Z.
I think we were kind of going in. I think we were kind of going in the U.S. I think we were kind of going in the liberal direction, kind of with the feminists for a long time, and then it just got so ridiculous and unworkable that now the men are going one way and the women are going the other way.
Wow.
You know.
No 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔, 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔. No sex with men, no giving birth, no giving birth, no dating men, no marriage.
Wonderful.
They're just so mad at the Korean men. They're willing to end Korea. Korea was able to survive the Japanese, the Han Dynasty. They were scattered, but they kept their language. But their own women will be their undoing. Tell me, dealing with
that might be the story of the world.
Yo, that's way deeper than that. Is actually so deep. Like we're returning, like subject. I pretty much all men I know, conservative, muscle, whatever, they're like subject to women.
Yeah.
What a mess.
Yeah.
Should we educate, Chad? Should we educate Bill on wife jack? Do you know what a 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒄𝒊𝒂𝒍𝒔 is? The meme?
No.
You ever seen this art style of meme? This art style, this kind of style of memes on the internet?
Yeah.
That style is called 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔. And lately there's this one called a wife jack. Okay. It's too much to explain.
Yeah, I don't get it. It just looks like some.
It's just supposed to
basic
represent
art.
Right. It's supposed to just represent a wife. And right now, either you're. Let's move on. Look, that's Eun-Young. Look, let's move on. Martial law. Where were we? So I want to go to the USA. With this one now. Because they're saying it's going to happen here, right? Like you were just saying. And I saw just some calls coming in. Thank you. 888-775-3773. You can call me back. Talk with the anchor baby and Bill. So, martial law, look, they're saying it's going to happen here. CNN correspondent. She's all over CNN. Her videos now all over the place. And she's worried. She's worried. She's seeing the scenes in Korea. And she is a little worried. The ladies,
they'll just make something out of anything that they can make up.
Yeah, you think? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I mean,
So CNN, this is MJ Lee, and of course she's going to invoke the name of the greatest president.
Can you just elaborate on that? Yeah, I was saying this in the last hour, just for context here. The reason that this is going to be just so, I think, emotionally jarring for the folks in Korea is because this is not really distant history. The fact that this kind of thing could happen in the streets of Seoul for folks who are in my parents' generation, certainly my grandparents' generation, this is what they lived through.
And you were born in South Korea.
I was born in South Korea the very last year that there was a military dictatorship, and soon after I was born, there was the first democratic presidential election that elected Roh Tae-woo. And obviously, the country has evolved and developed so much since then. But we now talk about South Korea as one of the most important democratic countries and a vibrant democratic country in Asia that we look to and point to often as a model. So just seeing these headlines, seeing these scenes, knowing that this is possible, I think just in and of itself, in the context of South Korean history, is important. Obviously, we around the table should talk about why this should be an important thing for Americans to pay attention to.
Well, that's what I want to.
Particularly given that Donald Trump is about to be president in a number of weeks, somebody who has said he wants to use the military to go after his own enemies.
We'll pick up on that.
Yeah,
So
I mean, I
they're
think
always- of course
He
they're
did
gonna
not say that.
Oh, you got the scoop on this.
I don't have. I mean,
he didn't say that, right?
Not that I remember. He didn't say that. What I remember is what he's been saying is he's going to go and he's going to get rid of, or he's going to, deport illegal folks that are here illegally, and folks that are here illegally that are criminals, basically illegal criminals. They're going to really come after them. And I think the other thing they're scared of is the justice system coming after the folks, and bringing out basically the kind of other stuff that's been going on probably. I bet there's you can see on the news, they've these organizations, have a strategy. They tell them to go and say this, and all the news programs say this.
Right, he did say
there's all these strategies and stuff like that, and
he was going after licenses.
Huh?
Yeah, he said he was going to go after their news license, their media license, or something.
Maybe, but they're not. They're just not. They're lying and making up stuff, and there's some kind of I don't know. There's a strategy. It's they're all paid off to do something. It's they get a memo, and then all the news stations go say the same thing, and it's not even true.
Crazy.
And we're in this country now we're dealing with this bunch of people who they don't mind just lying and making up some stuff, and it's not even happening. They don't ruin your reputation, make up lawfare, and there's probably some phone calls and people going behind the scenes, talking to other people to go do lawfare stuff. What if this kind of stuff comes to light? So the news media has I think they're worried about their skeletons in the closet coming to light. And that's what's really going on. There is none of that. Trump is not going to go and send the military onto them and do all this kind of stuff that they're talking about. It's all just it's what's the word for it? It's all made up.
That's such a good point too, because he really is just when what they're describing is him enforcing the law. They're fearing him just enforcing the law and investigating things that are wrong. And they say he's using the law against criminals. You mean, or alleged criminals?
He's gonna go and get us for using lawfare against him.
Right. What an evil dictator.
Right. He's gonna get us for making up a bunch of stuff and plotting against him, and he's going to get us for calling his friends and getting him kicked off of Twitter, and he's going to go and bring the people who are up to this stuff
accountable.
Yeah. Or the people who, how about the Hunter laptop? I
Right.
think that's one of the worst things ever. A bunch of people in the government basically saying, was it the FBI?
Right.
Was it
talking with Facebook?
Yeah, a bunch of people in I think it was the FBI was basically vouching that it was misinformation, that it wasn't
delete it,
that it wasn't, that the laptop wasn't real. And it's bizarre how one-sided they think.
Right, it's captured.
I think it's all about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just all about them. And their logic and everything is so self-centered that if it's about them, rules go one way, and if it's about somebody, the other side doing the same thing, then they see it a totally different way. It's as maligned as it can be, as they can make it.
Any thoughts on?
It's weird.
It's weird, right? It almost like the only way you can explain it, it's like they must all be on some team, but these factions are beyond Democrat or Republican. Do you have any thoughts on that? Because these ruleless people who hate who are against Trump and let's call it the establishment. You've mentioned it on the show before, the deep state, and you explained it pretty interestingly. It's like, any thoughts on that? Like, what is this faction that seems to flout the rules and be so one-sided, and they seem to be in separate parts of the government? Any thoughts on that?
I believe they're just. I just think it's like the group of people who. I think it's something humanly that we can basically divide the people into two factions. And there's a faction that's about reality, and there's a faction that's about the dream. And the faction that's about the dream will lie, cheat, steal.
Wow.
And and they'll run everything awfully because they're so self-centered. And and some cultures go and they make this more of this kind of person and less of the real kind of person. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And with that, everything just ends up being run awfully. You've got everybody's being paid off in the background. Everything's super inefficient. It's all to maintain the vision, not deal with the reality. And so, it's like the dreams, and the dream is in charge of your bank account. The dream's in charge of what looks good. The dream is in charge of what will work.
Damn.
And the disconnect with reality is just as far as they can get away with. And
if you don't believe in the dream, we'll steamroll you.
Well, no, the interaction is so they look at a person like that's real, okay, as not maintaining the dream, and the dream is most important. So the person who's real makes them feel like nothing because the dream that they're all about is nothing to the person that's real.
Damn. No, that's so well said, I think.
Yeah, the dream is and so they hate him. It's really all about that. It's not about that's why you've got like the women, and that's why there's like a divide about women in sport, men playing in women's sports, because it's all about the dream.
Right.
It's not about a reality.
And a man is reality. It's like a biological reality.
Right, a biological man reality is, okay, he'll run circles around any woman, okay, and that's the reality. But they're all about maintaining the dream is more important than the reality for them. And then entertainers and stuff like that, they kind of fall on the dream side too,
and cultures, like you said,
right?
Whole cultures,
and they everything's just everything's just the dreamers, you know.
The dreamers. That should totally be something you develop and talk about when you get your show. That's so well said.
But the dreamers they're about the dream, and you know, the entertainers are more about the dream, and you don't want the dreamers in your government because they'll run everything into the ground, and everybody's so self-centered.
Wow.
But in denial that they're self-centered. That's all about them. And
because they're for the dream.
They're all about the dream.
How can
right?
I be self-centered? Wow.
Yeah. They're not about real man. They're about the dream. And this thing basically destroys our civilization. And I don't know. Maybe you could look at it like it's here, so that when things are really good, this comes in and starts destroying everything, and then everybody starts trying to escape,
right?
Getting what they have and everything, and running to someplace else.
The ebb and flow,
right? I mean, you know, they run everything awfully, and then the folks who are having it hard, you know, who live up in the mountains, who can barely make it, you know, they come down and wipe them out.
Oh, right. They come down, they rise up.
They rise up because everything's rough with them, and they can't afford to have their head up there, you know where.
Right.
Because they'll be dead if they did.
It's kind of ominous.
I do.
It's kind of ominous, but it's like reality. I welcome this information.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
It's
interesting. I was accidentally played that. Don't let me interrupt you. But wow. So well put. I need to make a clip of that. The dreamers, folks, tell us where we're wrong. 888-775-3773. But a little bit too, it's like they're speaking it into existence too, being here in America and going on the news and saying, and we got to watch out for martial law with Trump. It's like there's an internal conflict in America between people, and the politics is one thing, but to speak on it, verbalize it like that's about to happen here, you're priming the people, you're priming the Democrats, whoever's agreeing with you, to be so obstinate to bring about such a thing. There would be a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? Where you would be so obstinate to Trump that you would then cause the very thing that you're saying they're going to do.
They're a bunch of, they're telling their troops what to do.
Right.
Yeah.
They're telling their troops what to do.
They're telling what their troops to.
It's like they want martial law, really.
And we'll see what happens. I mean, but we had last time, remember, you know, we had Black Lives Matter and all this. It's like everything was running fine while Trump was in power. But at the same time, the media was talking like everything is horrible. And everything's horrible, and nothing's running right, and Trump's doing nothing, and the rest of the world, everything's no wars, everything's fine.
It's like they were trying to
Trump
cause
is
something.
actually being celebrated in some other countries, but you know, here he's absolutely maligned to the hilt. Yeah.
It feels like it feels like they'd be happy to cause that. They're saying, no, be careful, Trump is going to do martial law. But really, they're like, be obstinate. Be obstinate until he does that. Then we can say, see, we told you. It's like they want that, really. They're really evil like that, I think.
Yeah, I think so. I think they are wanting something like that.
That being said,
and maybe you'll say that to them will save them. I think you know what you're also dealing with the dreamers is they're actually scared he will be successful with what he's doing, because it will make their whole dream look wrong in the first place. That's another thing that's going on.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That is deep. So that being said, those mentalities and forces at play being said, what do you think about this concept? Like, is it is the world could you'd agree with me? The world's a little less stable, right? No Trump around. They're having these wars. Is martial law popping up in South Korea a sign of an ominous sign? What are your thoughts on that?
I think people are having it. I mean, the economies around the world are in decline. I mean, Germany's
bad.
Other economies
Energy.
in China's economy is having
Really?
a hard time. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
There's a thing with the BRICS nations. You heard about that, right?
So what thing? I mean, I know
they're
about
trying
BRICS.
they're trying to basically make a new currency.
Yes.
Outside of the U.S. has the reserve currency,
Right.
the world reserve currency, which is the dollar, and I don't know. I do know, but
Go. Is it too big of a? No, but I'm following. Yeah, BRICS is trying to make this. This is a big. This is a huge.
a new.
This would be This would eat up a huge chunk of America's economic dominance. It could very well.
Right. It could affect America's dominance. Also, I think we actually export a lot of our inflation. In other words, other places pay for when they're buying our money. They pay for our inflation.
Poor Japan.
Yeah. So I think, these other countries, what they've been seeing, especially the last 4 years with Biden in power, the deficit's just going up and up and up and up and up. Okay. And we're at like over $1 trillion right now. What is it? Over $1 trillion? 1 point something trillion dollars, I think, for interest on our debt.
That's only the interest?
That's just the interest.
Trillion?
Yeah. Yeah. And so they're seeing, hey, this ship is eventually going down. Let's go and make jump on the bandwagon of a new currency. And the U.S. is sitting here not doing anything to stop it.
Mm-hmm.
And, until, like, I guess a few days ago, I think I heard Trump is going to 100% tariff on
BRICS. Now, when you say this, when you say they're doing nothing, are you saying like in terms of like trade, trade deficits and war, and they're not doing anything to protect American exports or create or bring up American?
They're not doing anything to stop the BRICS. That's all.
And should they when you say stop, you mean like invade the nations and say you can't make a currency, or are you saying make the American currency strong?
I think they've done stuff
because
like
it feels like they're doing that. It feels like instead of doing the Trump way, which is like, we're going to do it fair and square. We're going to compete. We're going to make American production amazing. Hey, Canada, F you, you better figure it out. 25%. We're going to make America great. As opposed to, y'all are making a currency. NATO at your doorstep. Missiles pointing at you. Like, I know I'm speaking ignorantly.
He's not doing that.
No, that he's not doing that. It feels like he's the first. He's that's why I like him. I know I'm speaking ignorantly and inaccurately, but what do you think?
The 100% tariff,
right,
on them,
as opposed to missiles,
right? And as opposed to missiles, but this kind of stuff is serious.
Yeah, it's definitely serious. But they say he's this crazy dictator. But he was like he was like the first U.S. president in North Korea, meeting with a North Korean president during his presidency.
Yeah.
Unprecedented diplomatic efforts, even though they criticized him heavily, like, what'd you do? Like, he didn't do anything, no deal was made. But he was the first U.S. president in North Korean soil, something like that.
Well, they were
opened up
these
talks.
Rockets.
It's major.
He was.
He wants peace. Is what I'm trying to say. Go ahead.
He was sending up these Kim Jong, I think it's Un. I'm not sure.
Yeah, Un.
He was sending up rockets all the time, sending them, I believe it was over Japan, and blowing them up and all kinds of stuff like that. And then Trump is calling him Rocket Man.
Yep.
And calling him little names, and they're having a little tit for tat. And then he ended up going over there and having a little talk with him, and then No more rockets. We don't hear anything about the rockets being launched or any of that stuff. I mean,
that's a man of peace. I'd believe it. So they're lying about him, obviously. They're worried about authoritarianism. You know, it's not the most stable thing going on over there, I could tell. I mean, it's been like North Korea, South Korea. There's only an armistice. It was dictatorships in Korea, South Korea, after World War II for a while until like recently, until like the 60s or 50s. So it feels like a little like not the most stable thing. They had the Soviets before that, and of course, if you've ever seen this, you might be interested in this. I'm sure you guys know about the Korean War, but basically the Soviets, the Soviets, they backed the North Koreans. They pushed out almost totally pushed out the South Koreans until
at one point.
At one point, they almost did. Like, in fact, let me show y'all a little infographic here. But that's pretty much what the World War II ended. Cold War. They're like exerting influence. North Korea gets. But if you know anything about North and South Korea, ever since that divide was made with Soviet and America, basically both sides have been saying our side, are the rightful rulers of the whole peninsula, and so they've been fighting about that ever since. North Korea gets a little ambitious here and tries back in 1950 to push out the South Koreans, and they almost do it too. They almost totally do it too. And this little graphic here, until the American commandos, they come in, they do like I forget what that was called, this battle, whatever. They make a landfall here behind the North Koreans, and they push them back, almost push back the North Koreans, but then they get backed by the Soviets, and then they get pushed back to this line.
Was it the Soviets or the Chinese?
The Chinese.
I think
it was the Chinese.
Yeah.
It was the Chinese. And the Soviets, I think. But it was the Chinese. You're absolutely correct. The Chinese, and then you get what we have till today. North Korea, South Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah. These influences are deep, and they continue. Is the Korean Peninsula sovereign? Is it a sovereign area? Like, probably the answer to that is probably varying degrees, huh? Depending on... Now, probably less so, right? Because you got these conflicts popping up between Russia and the West. So now you got North Koreans going to fight against Ukrainians. So probably less so now. It's been a lot of, what's it called? Tug of war in just this little area in the world. Between more than just Koreans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just think about that area and the tug of war that's been going on there for a while.
Yeah, I mean, you have to keep your military and everything, up and ready to go over there.
Well,
or Rocket Man come over and really start some stuff. He's been kind of threatening to start some stuff.
That's
lately.
the thing. On that note, North Korea prepares for war. They blow up the roads and rails that used to connect the North and the South. Kim Jong-un has ordered artillery units to move near the border with readiness to engage. Basically saying they're ready to wipe out South Korea to thoroughly annihilate if South Korea and the U.S. provoke them. Sounding, well, whatever. People always sound serious, but the point is that's kind of the developments going on, And I guess these are videos of said explosions. Kim Jong-un has ordered North Korea's military to thoroughly annihilate the U.S. And South Korea if provoked.
What is this? What is setting him off, though?
I mean, well...
Is anything different?
Is this ignorant of me to say? But there's powers coalescing as these conflagrations are bubbling up, not just Ukraine, not just Israel, which that is, even the Israel thing, Russia actually backs a lot of Iranian and Lebanese stuff to some dark connections. So even the Israel stuff is another proxy possibly between Russia and the West I'm saying possibly because I'm waiting until I totally understand that better. So even that stuff could be a proxy. You got the stuff popping up in Africa. You got the stuff popping up in South America. I mean, I don't know much beyond that, but it seems like a coalescing of power factions and tough bravado saying, hey, this is marking lines and saying you can't cross this, blah, 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 is what it feels like. But I'm showing you these threats because maybe it could be an overreaction, but it's stuff like this that are the threats that might need martial law. You know what I mean?
I think the last 4 years, I don't think. Well, Biden's is like a really lousy president, and so things are, like I said, we have dreamers in the White House right now, so the dreamers are running everything. Budgets are all off, growing. Stuff is not working well at all, not running well. And diplomacy and everything else going around the world is not running well either because it's these kind of people. And, things just don't work. And since they're not working, there's kind of a vacuum of power, a vacuum of people who know what they're doing,
Right.
And this, the world economy not run, quite right, people are not taking care of business. And so, here we have something else rising, to moving into the vacuum, to take the place of what's not there, basically. Things are just kind of running.
Totally.
Yeah.
On that
there's just
note,
kind of something like that.
On that note, considering the communism of North Korea, the influence of soft power, there's something going on in Australia. You may have heard of this ban. They banned social media for 16 years old and under. No more social media. Now, how? I don't know. But the point is, this law is going through. So a little bit on soft power and all that. No social media for anyone under 16. It's literally what it sounds like. They're going to enact huge bans. And I saw calls coming in. Call me back, 888-775-3773. Bans and fines for any social media company that is unable to keep these 16-year-old and under off their site. What do you think about that?
Oh, man. That's going to be difficult.
Difficult to...
I mean, just because some of them are going to be lying and saying they're older, and how do you know? But I think...
We've got your...
But
I think that, but I think the idea is... there's a reason for not having young people making a mess of things.
Yep.
And when they're that young, and they don't understand, what's going on, or they can be tricked and all kinds of stuff.
I was feeling yesterday. I was saying something about the approach feels wrong. I was a little more hardcore, but we talked about this a little bit earlier, and hearing you say that did kind of soften me a little bit. That it could be. I felt like it was desperate, maybe, because it seems like the children, their closer proximity to it has actually maybe a double-edged sword, made them better to handle these things. The cavemen are really the parents. You see them scrolling Facebook mindlessly, just worse than the kids, I think, sometimes. But this may be a necessary thing, and tell me what you think, to stop the youth's march into oblivion. Is that the thinking here? You might be right.
I think we have to make sure you have kids grow kids are being controlled by all this stuff. You know, I was just saying like TikTok. You know, you sit there and exactly scroll and scroll and scroll and scroll, and all the videos are set there to make you scroll and scroll, designed to make you scroll and scroll and scroll some more. Okay, so you're being basically driven, and we're all driven to like an extent. But you have to also grow the character to not be just driven. And I don't know. I mean, I just think this stuff is driving them. I don't know.
Right.
It's
You
just
make a good point.
They're not aware that this is just becoming like part of them. You know, that other character to not do it, you know, is to stop or to do what you got to do is not being I don't know. What's the word?
No, but
it's
they're
not
totally
being matured. It's not being matured.
And they're hijacked by it, totally.
Right.
And so you can understand the parents' instinct here. And in hearing you say this, I mean, it might make sense just to save them from themselves, I guess, even if they're themselves into whatever they're into. It's like, can't that be done just through the parents? Or it's like we need to just come together as a society and be like, we got to put a stop to this somehow.
It could be done by the parents, but, you know, not 100%. You know, they go to your friend's house and his friend goes and that's all they do.
Right.
They go and jump online and do this stuff.
Yeah.
And then the kid goes and, oh, my parents are horrible. They won't let me go and be lost in social media all the time, you know.
That's a good
And then
point.
you go to your friend's house and that's your friend is so cool.
That's actually a good point. And, you know, so I was basically how I was feeling about it is, like I said earlier, but that it felt like guilty parents feeling desperate. And that's not love, because desperation and guilt is not love. And so they're just feeling fear about something that instead they should try and understand. But, you know, we stopped the youth from drinking and from doing all sorts of things that would hijack them because of their lack of maturity. You might make a good point here. You want to see some of these kids react to this?
In a world first, Australia will ban social media for children under the age of 16. That includes Snapchat.
No, I'm just thinking, I haven't even seen it, okay, but the kids are going to be like, absolutely hate it. They're going to be like, because the kids want to be adults. They want to think like they're adults, okay? They want to believe that they can do everything that, if they had a chance, they could do everything that it's like, you know, the kids are into like the dream of themselves, you know, being able to do everything.
Right.
Okay. And they feel like they can go and they could do it, and they could stop it when they could stop
So
and
true.
do what they want to, and they could stop, you know, getting stuck in a TikTok if they want to, you know, and if I'm drinking, I could stop drinking, you know. It's that kind of thing. They don't realize how that we're not quite, they haven't run into, I guess, come to understand themselves enough to know that they're not quite as in charge. Even when we're in charge, we're not as much in charge as we'd like to be.
Deep.
As we think we are.
So true. So true.
TikTok, Instagram.
You might be surprised with some of these.
Supposed to protect their mental health.
At least one of them, I think.
We've got your back is our message to Australian parents.
But there's a reason we've travelled outside the city, 2 hours outside of Melbourne, to this rural town, because some psychologists say actually this ban could isolate a generation of children. So let's see what they think about it.
I reckon it's unfair.
Yeah?
If you couldn't understand me, said, I reckon it's unfair.
Tell me why.
Because I don't see my friends much, because they don't really come down. That's a way for me to talk to them.
I don't really mind it, because that'll probably get me out of the house a bit more.
It's not a bad idea. I don't mind it. Well, my kids are restricted because there's too much bullying on social media. It's actually ridiculous because they don't get you at school, they get you on social media.
What do you think about the parents? It's just too much bullying. They are over 70% of them agreed in Australia. Yeah, it's time to ban it. Like, I guess besides what you've already said, they're trying to protect their children. Yeah, what do you think about the parents and their reaction here?
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. I think they're.
But
I think they're they're trying to not let their kids get so sucked in to this stuff.
Sucked in is a good. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the other thing is China.
What were you gonna say about China?
I was just saying China. Has
we're on the same. We're on the same wavelength right now.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
China has some stuff like this too.
I was just about to say, because of we'll go on. Go on.
China has stuff where you can only play video games. Kids go in like an hour. I was surprised.
We're on the exact same wavelength. Check this out.
If you're a young online gamer in China, your life just got a lot more annoying. That's because the country's ruling Communist Party announced gaming restrictions for minors. People under age 18 are now allowed just 3 hours of gaming a week.
What?
The People's Daily, which is the official organ of the Chinese Communist Party, said the government had to be, quote, ruthless in imposing the restriction. It said that online gaming hurts young people's physical and mental health and hinders their ability to study. Understandably, many people in China are not super psyched about the regulation. One gamer
They're not
told
studying, they're cheating, you said?
No, they're not studying.
You didn't say that.
That's what
I
it
added
is.
that.
But
I said the cheating part.
Oh.
Reuters that the restrictions may have the opposite effect and will only pique people's curiosity about gaming. The video game industry is also concerned about the money it may lose from the decline in traffic and use.
China #1.
The new regulation imposes controls on gaming providers and won't punish kids who exceed their weekly allowance.
That's measured.
A recent global usage survey by Limelight Networks found that people spend an average of 8 hours a week playing online video games.
What the?
This is Inside Edition Digital.
Only 3 hours a week? What the, Bill? What are we going to do? No, this for whatever you want to say about China.
The kids who are really into games, man, you know how 3 hours, how fast 3 hours goes,
bro.
A game addict, imagine a game addict.
I can't pause it.
It's playing 8 hours a day,
bro.
He's playing I don't know. I can't think. There's some really great
civilization
kind of games.
Yeah,
games that are really in depth, like that one that you were playing. I can't think of it.
In depth.
Yeah, the ones that like go on forever.
Not RimWorld.
No.
Where we're doing the plantation, Jesse's slave plantation.
No, not that one.
Is it a shooting one?
No, I think you were running around a bunch of. You had some friends. And
VR chat, where you're a hot dog, and we're in the virtual world talking to each other.
No.
I don't play video games, China. Don't worry.
Yeah, right.
I really don't play. I don't have the time. If I had the time, I'd be playing a bunch of video games. I grew up. I like video games, but I'm not good, and I'm not good because I don't play, and I just don't have the time.
I think it was.
I find more.
I know you were playing.
I'm trying to remember what you were talking about. Oh my God, you're talking about League of Legends? What a waste of life! What an absolute waste of life! And it's like. I was gonna say for China, all the things you want to say about China, it's not very democracy, it's not very free. It's kind of based. I feel like gaming. I feel like
I don't think it's
about gaming. I don't feel like it's necessarily this evil thing. But I feel like it should be kind of seen by the individual. It should be seen correctly, and it should be seen like a vice. It should be kind of seen like a vice, like a you know what I mean? Like a kind of a waste of life. And it's like, whatever, you do that with TV, there's probably a million things that people do it. For the person judging the gamer, let's add up all the hours you wasted on this other thing. But
well, come on.
But let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is.
We waste a ton of time right now with our cell phones, looking through a lot of nothing, getting stuck on YouTube, looking at a lot of nothing. And they design, the stuff's just designed to sit there and suck you into the next thing.
Mm-hmm.
They know the next thing you're the other thing that you're interested in. And so as long as you sit there, you'll find something to look at.
True say.
I don't know. I think this stuff is just going too. It's not working out. It's not working out all positive for us humans here on Earth with all this stuff.
You might
it's
make
just
a good
taking
point.
all our time. We're having our time sucked up by all these gadgets.
Bill's so smart. You're making a good point. You first one to maybe soften me on this. We might have to pump the brakes. See, I was ready for a cyberpunk future. Just bring it on. Judge Dredd, Neon, jack me into the Neuralink. But you know what? Maybe you're right, Bill. You might be right.
It's like we need. They may just actually come up with some kind of teaching kind of thing to straighten this kind of thing out to make it work. But yeah, it's like you need like a certain type of character to kind of deal with this kind of stuff, and they need to groom that kind of character to kind of use this stuff properly.
But
So you're just not used.
But the parents are ultimately isn't this just ultimately a failure of parents?
Know how to do that.
Fair, but it's still their failure. With them saying, "Hey, government, it's up to you now," is that another failure?
Yeah, but
But it's got to be done, right? There could be an argument made. It's got to be done because otherwise we're marching into oblivion.
Yeah.
No birth rates.
Yeah, low birth
Everyone
rates.
on games.
Yeah.
Friggin' driven by whatever company or whatever entity wants to drive the youth or this demographic.
Right. Yeah, it's like we're all. What's the name for that stuff? We're all the characters in it. What do they call it? The characters in the game that are always on to the side or do nothing.
The side characters, the NPCs.
Oh,
you mean the non-player characters?
Right.
Yeah, the ones that you meet. Like you're the character, but you go into the town and you talk to the shopkeeper.
We're just a bunch of NPCs.
Mm-hmm. That's actually so true.
So if they don't do something about this, I guess we're just all gonna be, for the most part, just a bunch of NPCs.
So true.
That's the end result of not getting this.
So if you're a king, you would realize that my subjects are NPCs like humanity. Something must be done, maybe.
Yeah.
I hear you, man. Or not a king. That's kind of macro. A father in a home. I hear you, man. It's all quite interesting. You know what this also brings up? Gaming. Controlling their gaming. Controlling the Australia social media ban and all that. It brings up the topic of, well, what kind of technology do we have the technology, and what tools would need to be developed for something like this to happen? You've heard of maybe like biometrics being tied up, your biometrics tied up to your online identity, where you can't be anonymous. You have an online ID that points to your real ID. You can have a username on the internet or have a character, but you could click somewhere and see what your real identity is, or the ISP provider or the company that you bought something from would be able to see who you really are and see if you're lying about your age. We would need something like that to enforce some of this. What do you think?
Yeah, but who wants that? I mean, especially since we've just been through last 8 years of first it was Trump, and we had all these social media folks
shadow banning,
shadow banning, and doing all kind of stuff like that, just because they can, and if they know everything you're buying, they can. If they know everything you're buying and everything and your identity, and they can really put the clamps down on you on everybody.
Right.
And that's probably what they've been trying to do, really. They've realized that, and
everywhere.
Yeah. and
The
and
West.
That's what's going on.
I think so too.
dreamers.
Even like X to a certain degree. X is like Elon Musk. X is more than just a free speech social media. It's kind of used for exerting even soft power abroad, possibly with when he's talking about Brazil, when he's talking about different countries, and hey, that's not very democratic of that country, and then he gets all of X into that and all that.
Well, that's him,
right?
But the opposition can go say what they want to say too, and that's the idea.
I don't
with
necessarily think that's wrong, but I'm just
Right.
saying.
Yeah.
Because it's like if any side is going to rule the world, I'd want the Elon Musk, whatever team that is. You know what I mean? Like, I think.
The free speech team.
Yeah, I think.
The free speech team. Yeah, the free speech team, because we get to hear the other side of the story. Maybe help the delusions don't not go too far.
Because it seems
And
like
there are plenty
someone's
of
got to run the world. True. So China, though, it seems like if they're able to regulate gaming like that, they must have some technology. I just asked ChatGPT. It looks like they have centralized databases and monitoring. We have stuff like that. Data collection. They have time-limiting algorithms. Enforced restrictions. Minors are limited to 1 hour of gaming on Fridays. These restrictions are hard-coded into the games. Oh, I see. So when they're releasing it, whether it's like an online release that you download through Steam or a game, because of the law, these restrictions are apparently, according to ChatGPT, hard-coded into the game. So a minor would be playing and the game would just say, no more. You've gone up to your limit.
Oh.
So I was wondering how they were doing
that. These
that.
are online games, so how about offline games?
Well,
What
I
about
imagine
those?
some of these got to be shipped with this hard code. If it's a CD or even if it's like an offline downloaded game from Steam.
I guess the old games would be like
premium.
Yeah, they'll be really good. They'll be worth a lot more now.
Yeah. No restrictions. They have like listings on eBay or whatever their version is or something like that.
Exactly.
It's like unrestricted, or maybe that has to be in a black market of some sort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all a black market.
Can't find that on Baidu.
Something, yeah.
Biometric surveillance. They have facial recognition.
Oh.
Tencent, apparently a company in a. Oh yeah, no, this is a huge company over there.
You won't have the latest games, that's for sure. But
right, you got to wait until they figure out the DRM on the new games,
right,
and impose all this hard coding. It's probably extra development time for the games coming out in China. Facial recognition. Players are periodically prompted to scan their faces during play, especially late at night, to ensure they match the account holder. So it's like you open up the account, you're an adult maybe. You open up your account and you're like, yeah, Dad, can I use your account? They're putting a restriction on me and I'm getting my golds. I'm doing ranked for my gold in League of Legends, wasting my life. Please, Dad. And then it's like a face recognition and it scans the kid's face. That's not the dad.
Right.
You got police coming at you now. I mean, now I'm making stuff up, but legal financial penalties, accountability of the companies, game developers and publishers face fines or suspension of their games. Internet regulation, the Great Firewall. Also, apparently,
that's just
the Great Firewall of China. Is that real?
Exactly.
The Great Firewall, China's vast internet censorship system, can block access to unauthorized or unregistered games, ensuring only compliant platforms operate. Wow. I didn't know they had a Great Firewall.
Mm-hmm.
AI, big data analysis, behavioral monitoring. AI and big data are used to analyze gaming patterns, detecting potential addiction or rule breaking. Imagine that. So that's some of the tech that you got to have for this kind of world. I don't know. It's interesting. That's for sure. But what do you think about parents? They don't love their kids, I don't think. They're kind of just desperate. Well, you can't blame them, but anyways.
I don't think parents. I think a lot of parents know what to do.
That's fair. That's really the truth. It's really like our own parents and all. That's why we have to forgive. That is kind of like that kind of makes it easier to accept I think accept the concept of forgiveness and forgiving your parents. It's like, what do you mean? Because they're doing the best they can.
Yeah. Yeah, your parents actually don't know themselves well either, especially when they're the younger ones.
Fair.
So.
You want to take this call with me?
Yay! Yes,
Hey,
go for
caller.
it.
your name and where you're calling from. You're on with the Anchor Baby and Bill.
Hey, it's Josh from Georgia. What's up, fellas?
What's up, Josh?
Hey.
Pleasure. How you been?
Hey, Josh.
Doing well, man. Doing
All right.
well. Yeah. Hey, I like this topic about social media, man. Like, it's tricky because I got off all social media just about, except for, I guess, YouTube. That's considered social media, right?
Correct. In fact, I
Not-
think YouTube is the only thing they're not banning in Australia. I believe they said because of its great educational potential or something like that.
Right.
There's
Right.
plenty of other
Yeah.
You can say that for the whole internet, but whatever.
Great succulent
Education.
potential. Yeah. Potential also.
Right,
Just the way the rest of the
right,
stuff
right.
is going. Yeah. It's just like TikTok and the rest of it.
Right. Yeah, because I don't have a Twitter account, but you know how you can log in with your Google account? You go to the X website, says you can log in with your Google account. I just do that so I can just, see what everybody's talking about on Twitter. And I don't think I ever get anything from. I like Elon a lot. I'm a big Elon fan, but I don't. It's like a septic, man. There's a bunch of garbage on there, you know.
Mm-hmm. On X, yeah, I
So,
guess.
Yeah,
I get a lot of
but
news too. I mean, I get a lot of stuff too. But I use it. I use it with a specific kind of purpose. I'm trying to work and get news stuff.
Right. Because it's your job. I depend on you and Hake and all y'all for the news.
We are your curators, sir. In this
Y'all the filter.
this
Right.
era of an onslaught of information, we are your filters, sir.
Yeah, because Twitter is it's a lot of pornography on Twitter, man.
That's true.
Fight videos and
From around the world.
Stuff videos from around the world, man. I do not need this in my life. You know?
Fair enough, man.
And that's really the reason I never made a Discord account, man, because I don't.
It's the
I see
snake pit
that
on
as
steroids
Facebook.
a little bit. So I don't blame
Is
you
it?
because it's all
Yeah.
they're all talking to each other. It's intimate, but
Right.
it's up to you. If you don't know yourself, you might wait. If you think you spend too much time in the snake pit, you might lose yourself in my Discord. But I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to badmouth the Discord too much. Check it out, folks. It's really
Right.
cool. They're having cool conversations and it's just fun.
Yeah, I'm sure they are.
But go on.
Yeah, the snake pit is all I need, bro. All I need is the snake pit, and just a little bit of that in moderation. And I think the world is better off without social media. But then again, Elon bought Twitter as a symbol of the First Amendment, so that's kind of important as well. So I'm kind of torn on it, man. I don't know. Me in my personal life, I would say no social media at all. If I had kids, if I had a wife, which I don't, but if I had them, I would recommend they don't do it. But like you said, parents don't know. I don't.
That's a good point. Whether it should be legislated or not, if I'm thinking about personally, I feel like I might enact a similar kind of ban in my own home. And what I really wish there was? There used to be, years ago, I remember growing up, there used to be this company in Canada, and I forget what it was called. It might have been called Fly or Fly Phone, and they specialized in making like a little dumb phone for children so that they can at least call and text, very simple things, and be in touch. And I feel like that whole industry, there's been little forays into this industry and making a dumb phone where you connect your smartphone, but you just take out this little dumb phone that's connected, and it just gives you very basic stuff. There really isn't much development on that. This Fly Phone stuff doesn't it? I wish there was more of a thing for that where I could give my child. I don't have one, but if I had one, give them something different as opposed to the iPhone, as opposed to the thing that everybody else is using. Something that I can have a little bit more control over.
Right.
You say there is something like that, Bill?
I believe there's still something out like that around.
I used to see commercials for the Fly Phone and stuff.
Phones, but the bad side of that is if they're into making stuff or into doing stuff, these phones that can do all this stuff, you'd be blocking them from from being able to do all the cool stuff
Right.
that you could do
Right.
with a phone, you know, with these phones. I mean, they take in 3D information. There's all kind of apps that do all kinds of things. You know, they've got all these. You've got access to so much information now. You know, the information that was just like not around when I was a kid at all. You know, you had to go to the library, and even at the library, the stuff wasn't even there. You had to go to, you had to look through the library of, I don't know, of a major city or something like that, or at a college, and maybe you could find some.
There might be a way to provide
the
these
scientific things.
There might be a way to provide these things.
But the other information, you know, so you know, you get this bad with the good, and there's a whole lot of bad, you know. And we have this, what do they call it? Our reptilian brain is running everything. You know what I mean?
Input, output.
You're right. Our reptilian brain is running everything, you know. And the social media stuff is just made to take advantage of that, you know, and get us all stuck there looking at some kind of videos or some kind of thing we're somewhat interested in. And but at the same time, you're, you know, if you make these restrictions, you're also restricting them from, you could look at like YouTube for being social media, okay, because a lot of the stuff is social media and YouTube, and they're all talking about social media kind of social stuff. But a lot of it, but there is like a lot of science stuff, a lot of really interesting points of view, and all kinds where you can get, you know, even
how about this for a strategy?
If you look at, I remember COVID, even while COVID was going on, you know, you got extra, if you were looking at different stuff on YouTube, you got some other points of view. You got stuff like how the media was getting pissed off, was upset at some hospital because most of the people weren't taking the shot.
Interesting.
Most of the people who were like doctors and nurses were not taking the shot, which is isn't that like a sound? Isn't that something? Isn't that
fascinating?
telling you something?
It is a fascinating thing to at least read about while all that was going on.
Right. While that's going on, you know, and some of the doctors who were reading the stats and saying, if you're over 50. If you're under 50, you shouldn't be taking this stuff, you know.
Whoa.
While the media is going and telling you something else.
Put it like this: how's this for a strategy? Dumb phone until they're 14, then 2 years of a grace period, 15 to 16, a heavily monitored like normal phone, and that's kind of the pathway into adulthood. As for their requirement for like trying to give them a deep kind of just there's so much information and not keeping them from that. A curated home offline 𝒔𝒊𝒂𝒎 style encyclopedia put together by the dad because he cares and he cares about the home and he knows about stuff.
To do everything.
He has to do everything. And offline �𝒊𝒂𝒎 style encyclopedia for the home of curated because the dad is smart or something. I guess not. I guess that's this is not a good strategy for everyone. This is a strategy for the Gonzalez home. What do you think? What do you think, Josh?
Really? Bro, I disagree 100%. You know what?
Go ahead.
Here's what it is. It's the more you tell a kid they can't have something, the more they want it.
Hey.
You know? So
you sure you don't have kids? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have kids, so I don't know. I think when I was a kid...
No, I'm saying it sounds like you do have kids with what you just said, but please go on.
Oh, really? Yeah, no, I don't. But, you know, that's the Adam and Eve principle. The one thing you tell somebody they can't have, they're going to want it. So it's like, don't tell me what I can't have, because that's what I'm naturally drawn to that now. Kind of having that reverse psychology thing going on. I don't know, man.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah. If you tell me I can't have alcohol, that's kind of like when they banned alcohol, the early 1900s. you know, it just made people want it more. You know, it's like a rebellion thing or something.
Fascinating.
That's what Adam said you can't eat from this, or God said, Adam, don't eat from this fruit, and that's the one fruit he wanted. You know, that's inherent in human. It's in humans, you know. We want the thing they tell us we can't have. You know, I don't know.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks, Josh. Anything else you want to talk about here?
That'll be all, man. Great show, bro.
Thank you, sir. Call me again, man.
Will do, bro.
888-775-3773. Amazing. I feel like we squeezed the life out of those topics. Can I tell you about curry?
Curry?
What you know about curry? You like curry?
I like curry, but there's a bunch of different types
There
of curry.
is so many, right? Curry has
Yeah.
got a deep history. It's confusing a little. Is it the dish? Is it the spice? Is it the curry leaf, which may not be related to curry as we know it at all? But curry, what kind of curries you like? Thai curry? I bet you like Thai curry.
Well, I like Thai curry.
Natalie Thai. We love Natalie Thai. I
Folks
love. I
around
really like
folks
Japanese
around
curry.
Folks around the country are not going to know Natalie Thai.
Shout out Natalie Thai. It's like a restaurant right over here somewhere. But it's great. It's maybe not so good lately, but I don't know. I don't have that deep of a history with Natalie Thai. Shout out Natalie Thai. You ever had Japanese curry? It's all yellow and good with the potatoes and the rice.
Maybe.
You've probably seen it at least.
Yeah, maybe.
Japanese curry, they'll get those little packs. Oh, you got to get the packs too of this. The SN, what do they call this? I have a tin
You
of.
gotta put this up
oh
there,
yeah,
man.
I have a tin of this. I have a tin of this S&B. What do they call it? Is it S&B? I forget what it is. I can't even see. Yeah, S&B. The S&B golden curry powder from Japan. It's the authentic stuff. Now this is the packets of the sauce already made, but you can get the powder, the golden the S&B curry, Japanese curry powder. Next level. Why am I talking about curry? Curry came up earlier in the JLP show, I think. And a lot of people didn't know that curry it's not Indian. It's a British invention. What do you know about curry?
It starts with a ladle full of oil, chopped onions, and green chilies.
Right now we're at the Indian YMCA. I've never heard of an Indian YMCA, but I have heard of a YMCA. In the USA, it's just a gym. But here it's very different.
The chef builds its signature taste with star anise, mace, cinnamon, bay leaves, cloves, cardamom, cumin, and nutmeg.
This is YMCA Indian Student Hostel, London. This is started in the year 1919. Now it's more than 105
It's
years.
going to be poor man curry versus rich man curry in a moment here.
We are here to provide subsidized accommodation and excellent food for international students for a very, very low cost.
But where are the subsidies coming from?
I
don't care about all that. Show me curry.
Funding for us to keep the costs low for the charity.
Cubes of lamb join the pan with a cup of water. From here, the chef lets it simmer, soaking up all those flavors. The British developed a deep appreciation for Indian food during their 89 years of colonial rule in India. These days, Indians are the largest minority group in the UK, so it surprises me to hear Sam say,
It is very difficult to get Indian food in London.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not just about Indian food, it's about a home-cooked meal. You go to some Indian restaurant, or we like to call it Asian restaurants, and the food is sort of catered towards the English or the British taste.
Sure, what's wrong with that?
It's a bit bland. It could be a bit bland.
Is that racism, Bill? It's a bit
No, it's
bland.
probably not hot enough and spicy
Exactly, and it's like when they say bland, they're saying gross. I mean, the other way, their way, in my opinion. Maybe I have sensible European taste buds or something, because I need the like chicken tikka masala, the butter chicken cooked over here. Because I grew up with a lot of Indians and I've had their parents cooking. It's not like the restaurants always. It can be quite
got
bold.
More pow, huh?
Bold. Like inedibly bold.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
man. Seriously.
I mean, like unedibly bold, like hot?
Both hot and also just like sometimes these crazy flavors. You ever had rose water?
No.
Dude, it's some of the weirdest thing. They have this thing called rose water or rose syrup. And it's literally like a syrup. I mean, it smells and I've never eaten a rose, but I basically have eaten a rose because it smells just like a rose and it tastes like what a rose might taste like. And they would make me this. I had it once, never again. I literally, I'm drinking this thing, and it's like flowers. This doesn't taste like it should be eaten. I'm going like that. I'm really not trying to be rude. I don't usually retch at food. I've tried all sorts of different things. I remember I went to one friend's house. This is all different kinds of Indians. Okay, there's different. The Indians listening to this know what I'm talking about. It's not hateful. They would agree. And I went to one house and they had this like yogurt thing in the middle, and they were eating with their hands. Inedible. Not even spicy. I'm telling you, inedible. So the British created curry. That's actually their invention. Curry powder is a British invention.
Huh?
It's a British invention. Did you know this? This is why we should show some respect to the white invention of curry.
Curry powder, okay, but curry's not.
The concept of curry powder.
The concept of
and
curry powder.
And the curry powders you see around the world for a long time, even to today.
Made by the British.
The
were
British.
The first ones that did that.
They first did it, correct. It was an invention during colonial era.
But the curry was already over there in India, but they had
like
a different way to
they
make
had dishes over there, and
Right.
these dishes had turmeric in them, had star anise, had all these spices that you find in curry powder. But they
Right.
did not have curry powder.
Right, they didn't put them together.
They didn't have a thing that they could just open and go, whoosh, and it's like, now we have curry. We have all the flavors
Yeah.
that we like.
Okay, yeah.
No, they cooked with those spices.
Right.
But like I just said, you go Bengali, you go East India, you'll have all sorts of different things.
Right.
And it can get pretty wild. I'm talking inedibly wild. I'm just saying.
Inedibly wild. Oh, man.
So shout out the British. I just want to shout out the British. I just want to shout out the British for the white invention of curry. It's just very cool. You want to see what a rich
powder.
Curry powder.
Right.
If I haven't already offended you, want to see what a rich man curry looks like? That was the poor man's curry. A little bit of lamb, star anise, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Chicken tikka masala is like the British national dish or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, that's their dish. $1,000 curry. Shall we?
So I've just seared caught lobster, so nothing.
So in just a moment, you're going to be making this 1,000-pound curry. I would love if you could show us some of the ingredients.
Sure we can. This is beautifully live, recently caught lobster. So obviously it comes quite a prime price.
The lobster is poached with mace, star anise, and black cardamom. Then it's de-shelled.
So I've just seared the lobster and left it in spice butter where it'll be poaching. My aim is to keep the temperature of the lobster below 55 degrees centigrade, so it's just nicely congealed.
But just you wait, because this isn't even the most expensive item on his
Do they even have lobster in India?
ingredient list.
I'm ignorant.
Morels are really prime mushrooms, which I'm
someplace.
hugely
At
fond
this
of.
point,
And
they can
some
import,
British
obviously,
forests are full of morels, and we have them for us.
You know anything about
can
morels?
get dried morels also
The-
that can
the
be
mushroom?
cheaper. You can also get
They
bulk
only
produced
grow
morels,
wild.
which can be done in a contained
Very
environment. But
expensive.
these are wild forage morels. Scallops, which I'm quite proud of because they are from Orkney Island and they are hand dived. To me, these are smaller, but I have had scallops which are as large as my palm. But this will do because lobster will take the main plate.
A tool sears the scallops
It's always
with
these
butter,
very expensive dishes that are like $1,000 stuff. It's usually,
Then he lets them
I don't know if I call it a gimmick, but they just use these very expensive. They'll put gold leaf, caviar. It's always the same things. Truffle, morel, caviar, gold leaf. This is how you make $1,000.
They got sturgeon.
Sturgeon. Look, there goes the caviar.
sought after delicacy.
It's like I was
In
thinking.
short, that means
That's
it's
how they
really
always do these.
expensive. This
You're a
by
bit of a
far
cook,
is our
aren't
most
you?
expensive ingredient of the day. And I can't wait to see how
You
these
say
rich
no.
fish eggs
I've tried.
You definitely tried. You got the gadgets.
I try. I've had, but those mistaken days where you have the kitchen full of dishes and you can't eat the food.
You're like, I'm never cooking again.
Yeah, or
Cooking is
it's
this
rough.
difficult?
It's you're right. It's rough.
It can be pretty rough.
Rough to get rough to go back and do it again.
Did you ever find, on your quest to find a healthy potato chip, did you ever find it?
No. I was just bringing that up. I mean, I just thought about.
Fried in avocado oil?
Avocado oil. Yeah, something or like that. Or
What's unhealthy about the potato chip? You got potato, you got salty, you got crispy. That's like all the food groups.
Okay.
Right?
But,
Salty, crispy.
But I think.
What else? What are the other food groups? Salty, crispy.
Right, but it's a. What is it? It's a starch. So
starch. That's another food group, right?
It's a starch. So it's basically it's going to turn into sugar.
Nice.
But they're all full of full of stuff like what's it? Just the oils that they use for frying them are just tend to be, the GMO whatever.
Thoughts on
The
seed
bad
oils?
stuff. Seed oils and
Bad? If Bill says bad, I'm cutting out seed oils today. Well, I'll try.
Good luck. No.
He says
good luck. You're basically in everything. That and was it high fructose corn syrup?
Oh no, you're not taking that away from me.
I know, but that's everywhere. I'm just saying.
That's bad?
I think it's worse than sugar.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's one that's I think you have to look it up, but I think it's like your liver has to process all of it, something like that, and the other one it's 50-50.
Yeah. I have a buddy who has fatty liver, and he's like 8 years younger than me. And yeah. I remember he was like 20-something, and we were at a bar, and there was some candy. He's like, I can't have that because my doctor says I got to stop with the sugar, as he's knocking back a grapefruit Radler. And he's like, yeah, I have fatty liver. And he was like 20-something. Yeah, I'm like, yo, you got foie gras in you? You're basically foie gras?
Yeah.
You know how they force feed ducks grain and sugar to fatten their liver, and that's foie gras, the French delicacy.
I didn't know that.
I wonder what a human foie gras. Anyway, yeah, he was like 20-something with fatty liver. Imagine that. What a mess.
Like he's an alcoholic or something.
Oh, I didn't put two and two together. Sorry. Maybe it was something like that.
I
don't know.
No.
Sorry,
not
sir.
necessarily.
But
Not that.
I didn't name names.
But yeah, young people are coming up with stuff like that because the food is so. Well, here in the U.S., the food is so. It has
Incredible.
a lot of mad scientists, unique, made-up ingredients.
Oh my! Forever chemicals. I keep hearing about those now.
Yeah. Yes. It's just stuff. Too much stuff.
Man, well, incredible. I feel like that's all my topics. I've honestly been having a blast, an absolute blast. I love having Bill on. Do you want to do the super chats together real quick? We'll finish off the show, see what the chat's saying. I think we squeezed almost every drop out of this show. Let's do these super chats real quick. Appreciate all the support, everybody. BuyMeACoffee.com/AnchorBaby. Jules Verne over there on Rumble. Always a pleasure. Always nice to see you there. All my supporters on DLive.tv/Gorgonzola and my super chatters. Appreciate the support, y'all. We got starting it off here with kicking it off with 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎. Thank you so much. Says they are prepping the public for false flags. I remember this came in during the talk of when they were saying Trump is we got to get ready for that because martial law might be enacted here. They're prepping the public for false flags. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 says. Lin Yan Chin with the super chat says, Bill, your calm. Lin Yan Chin says, Bill, your calm fluctuates too much. There is a thread of indignation sewing many of your loud reactions together with a shock and forced suppression. Lin Yan Chin can be pretty critical, but he's always had pretty interesting insights about myself personally.
I think what's happening. I'm not used to coming up here and
he's also
I'm not used to being up here on the thing. And literally, what's happening sometimes is I'm like I have a thought, and then suddenly my thought kind of goes blank for a second. Oh, what was I trying to explain there?
Lin Yan Chin sees
stuff
details
like that
nobody
is
else
happening.
sees.
Or one thought comes in and kind of displaces another thought. Just stuff like that is happening while I'm up here.
That will come with experience.
Not my regular thing.
That will come with experience. I can't wait to see you on your own show. Lin Yan Chin sees details that others miss. So honestly, you've been doing fantastic, if you ask me. Harmony Grits with a super chat says, Union dues. And she says, sup, Bill. Thank you, Harmony. Lin Yan Chin with another one says, the fluctuating rise and fall from yell to whisper and grasping for words equals you are trying too hard. Sit up, relax, don't let your breath pause, and just be. Thank you, Lin Yan Chin.
Easier said than done.
Fair enough. Chaz Lord Chef Z with a generous super chat. Thank you for that one, sir. Lin Yan Chin with another one says, the dream/delusion is mama's nature of forcing equality, as if mama doesn't know equal is only obtained in death. Life is inequality. Life is inequality or imbalance.
Yeah, there's mom and dad. There's spiritual and I think dad represents spiritual and mom represents I don't know, the tree or something. The tree, the apple. Yeah, and everything on mom's side is NPC, and everything on the extreme on the other side is like you can do what you can want to do. So there's just that's just how that's
so true.
Kind of a layout like that.
See, Lynn's pretty smart. Lynn's pretty deep, and see Lynn, Bill's pretty smart. 𝒔𝒊𝒂𝒎 with a super chat says, oh, sorry, Bob Dillo sends a little banana. Thank you. David Morgan with a super chat. Appreciate the generosity. Lin Yan Chin is asking, this one's directed to me. If you remember when I had the sparkle blouse? You know that controversy?
No.
Remember I wore a shirt, and it was early on. I think I was hosting for Jesse, and I went like a full 3-hour show, and I think the whole time the chat was just talking about my sparkly shirt. I had these like anchors or something like that, but from the camera.
You had what? You had like a party shirt.
It was a blue shirt. It was just a blue.
It was a club.
No, hey, maybe.
A club shirt.
May have been a club. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it was definitely, it was tighter, had V-neck, sparkles. And so they called it the sparkle blouse ever since. They haven't lived it down since. For those of the OGs in the chat know, they bring it up. Lin Yan Chin never forgot. I still have the shirt. He says, you need structure, sparkle blouse. This call isn't enough break for Bill. Fetch him some water. Let him get an occasional 2-minute walk. He old. Lin Yan Chin star. He's just... 𝒔𝒊𝒂𝒎 with a super chat says, Nick, the only reason they are doing that online age restriction thing is to implement biometric ID. That's the only reason. More data. Kale's on it.
Probably. I think that's probably true.
And Bob Dillo with the generous super chat and the little guy and the emoji. Folks, that's everything. Appreciate the support, everybody. Always supportive. Keeping the show going. And that's everything, Bill. Anything else you want to say? Because I feel like we squeezed the life out of that show. I had a blast. I love having Bill on.
We're good.
I love having Bill on. Billiam, the great Bill. Folks, let me just move on. Let me just do this and this. Oh, that's not it. That's behind the that's the behind the scenes. Don't look at that. Let me say farewell to the folks. We had a great show today. Thank you for being with me and Bill. All the calls, super chats, and everything. We squeezed every drop out of that show. I'm out. I'll see you tomorrow. We got more show. We got Bible Thumper Thursday. Tomorrow, we got the Thursday show over here with the Anchor Baby, and I believe they're going to have a little Bible study on my Discord tomorrow, as they do usually on Thursday. Shouting it out because I hear it's quite interesting. I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. For now, I bid you all farewell. Appreciate it as always. Take care. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.